Hey friends, David Schimmel here. I recently got a comment on my Intro to DJing video from Amir Rockin, who asked for tips on organizing their music library. So today I'll share a couple strategies that I use for doing just that. Of course, there are as many approaches to this problem as there are DJs, but I'll share what's worked well for me so far, so let's get into it. When I'm playing a set and trying to decide which song to play next, I want to be able to quickly identify candidate songs without being overwhelmed with too many choices. I want to be able to stay in the moment and really enjoy the music that I'm playing, because the audience tends to respond well to that kind of energy from the DJ, and it's just a lot more fun for me that way. So the two main strategies I use for organizing my music library are by BPM, or tempo, and by event. So if we look at my music folder here in Tractor, we can see at the top I have a folder called 100s, and that includes songs that are between 100 and 115 beats per minute roughly. And those cover genres like mid-tempo and moombahton. Similarly, I have a folder called 120s, and this is for songs between 120 and 130 beats per minute, genres like house and breaks. Now, the reason I do this is because when you're mixing EDM tracks, the easiest way to create a smooth transition between two songs is if they're at similar tempos, like pretty close together. Modern DJ software is very good at playing back songs at tempos that are drastically different than the ones they were originally written in, but if you push this too far, it can start to sound a bit unnatural. However, this has been used creatively in the past. For example, the genre called moombahton was invented when Dave Nada played a Dutch house track originally at 128 beats per minute. He played it at 108, so it can definitely be used to good creative effect. It's also possible to mix between songs that are at significantly different tempos without disrupting the flow, but this can require more advanced mixing techniques, or you need to find parts of the songs where there's not a lot of rhythmic activity, so it won't be obvious to the listener that you're mixing between two songs at different tempos. A similar approach to using BPM organization would be to go by genre. However, BPM already captures a lot of what makes genres distinct from each other, and it can be a lot to maintain to keep all your tracks organized by genres, and it might also subtly encourage you to limit your song selection to specific genres, which, while it can be good for the consistency of your mix, it can also sound a bit boring to your listener if they keep getting the same kind of genre conventions over and over again. So instead, I'd recommend placing some subfolders under your main BPM folder. One for high, so high energy songs that go really hard, low energy songs that are more chilled out, and then medium for anything else that doesn't fit into high and low. My other strategy, like I mentioned, is to organize songs by event. So when I'm preparing for a gig, I'll typically go through my recently liked songs on Spotify and SoundCloud, and I'll purchase or download any of the tracks that especially stand out to me that I might want to play at the upcoming event. Then I'll pick a few songs that I'm really, really excited about playing, and I'll start to build a set around those few songs. I tend to start my set off with songs at slower tempos, and then gradually play faster and faster ones as the set progresses, because this creates a nice sense of rising energy throughout the set and helps to really take the listeners on a journey. So for instance, if I've got a song at 128 and a song at 150, I'll find a few intermediate songs that can help me gradually get to that final target tempo. So I'll find a song at 132, 138, 140, 145, and then I'll mix through each of those, and that allows me to gradually bring the listener to that faster tempo so they won't be as consciously aware of what's going on, and it helps keep them in the zone, in the flow of the set. Similarly, if there are two songs that I really want to play but they're far apart in key, according to the circle of fifths, then I'll find a few other songs that get one or two keys closer to the next one, and I'll arrange them in such a way that I go through the circle of fifths to get to that final target key. And this is what's known as harmonic mixing. As I put together my set, I'll actually write a document with all the tracks in order. So here's an example of that from a recent show I played. And you can see that I also put these notes next to each song that give me some hints about how I might want to transition from one song to the next. And again, this is just so that I don't have to make quite so many decisions in the moment when I'm playing the gig, and I can have more fun. Some downsides to this approach are that you need enough time to prepare. So it can sometimes take several hours to put together the songs for a set. And if you don't have that time, then this approach won't be as effective. Also, it can potentially limit your flexibility if you want to try to adapt to the situation on the ground. Like if an audience member makes a request and you decide to play that, it could be tricky to fit it in to your track list if you've already got it planned down to the T. So one way to kind of get around this is to combine both approaches. So in your folder for your event, create subfolders that are organized by BPM. And that way you have a little bit more optionality when you're choosing the next song you want to play, but you won't just see every single song in your library and again, be overwhelmed by potential choices that you could make. You'll also notice this backup folder. So sometimes you'll get to the end of your pre-planned track list and you still have time in your set to play. So it can be nice having songs that you don't necessarily want to play, but if you have time, then you can get to them. And beyond organization, the best piece of advice I can give is to just know your music library really well. One way to develop that familiarity is to make sure you analyze the song structures for all of your tracks and add cue points at key moments in the songs where you might want to mix them into or out of another song. So in this case, I've got a cue point at the beginning of the song. I got one at the beginning of the first build-up, cue points at the drops, the outro. And this allows you to, this kind of leaves you a few breadcrumbs so that you're not going in totally blind if you decide you want to play a song. You have some reminders to yourself about potentially good places where you can mix in or out the song into your set. So those were a few tips on how to effectively organize your music library for better DJing. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you have tips of your own that you'd like to share, please let us know so that we can all learn from each other. As always, if you've enjoyed our time here together, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you here next time. Happy mixing!